I am personally offering to sell an acre of vacant land in exchange for 4 million SWP tokens. Just a simple transaction where instead of using fiat currency, a meme token would be sent to a specific wallet in exchange for the purchase. Now, so what is one of the ultimate stores of value? Well, in the crypto world, people think in terms of Bitcoin as a store of value. The fiat world, you think of the dollar, gold, silver. But really, if you go back historically, the ultimate store of value has always been real estate. Real estate is essentially built on land. And so what I'm doing now, and this is as a personal individual, an individual investor, not as a representative of a real estate company and not as a representative of a crypto project, just as a private individual, I am personally offering to sell an acre of vacant land in exchange for 4 million SWP tokens. Now that's a meme token. It's a small market cap token. I just wanted to express like the concept so people could have an idea of what I'm talking about and take the thought further as to where this could potentially go down the line. Very important that it's clear that this is not financial advice. I'm not giving financial advice. I'm not representing anybody as a real estate agent, even though I am a real estate broker. I'm not representing anybody as a loan officer, even though I am a loan officer. And I'm not representing a crypto project, even though I am the CEO of a crypto project. The point of this is a private individual offering to sell real estate, clear title, again, everything legal, all of the appropriate taxes, documentation taxes, and everything paid upfront, legitimate clear title, just the same way as if somebody were to pay with dollars to purchase real estate. Also, all of the required KYCs not being sold to people. This is in the United States. This is in Brevard County, Florida, not being sold to anybody from any of the countries that are not to be sold land to. So just imagine what is, historically been the greatest store of wealth has been owning land. While Bitcoin is moving towards an enormous store of value digitally, you can't grow food using a Bitcoin, right? You can't live on a Bitcoin, but you can live on land. You can rent out land. You can build things on land. You can grow food on land. You can have animals. You can go hunting. You can do recreation. Life is built on real estate. And real estate historically over, all of history, but say the last 100 years, has essentially always had this trajectory of increasing in value. It's been a solid and safe investment. Again, I am not a financial advisor. I'm not giving you financial advice, just a historical fact that real estate has grown in value. Now, if you look at the crypto world, cryptocurrencies have been volatile. Now, looking at what's happened with Bitcoin, what most people believe at this point is going to happen with Bitcoin and the shift of storage of value to the blockchain, there's some clear evidence of just an insane, historically unheard of return for those who have invested early in Bitcoin and even looking at it as the store of value as a hedge against inflation. But just think about a small market cap token. In my particular case, the token that I want for selling my real estate, vacant land in this case. And when I say vacant land, hear the word real estate because vacant land is real estate. The reason I'm using vacant land is because we're dealing with something of a much smaller price point. Because it's such a small price point market cap, it just would not work to sell something in the hundreds of thousands of dollars in this context. What I'm doing is offering to sell a piece of vacant land for 4 million. That's basically 4% of the supply of this meme token. Now, the idea for the buyer of the vacant land is they get something that's truly historically been a very safe and tangible asset. They're going to own clear title. A deed will be recorded in the local county, full ownership of this land. That's what that person will end up with. So most likely, pretty safe investment for the person buying vacant land, even though they're using a token. They could just as well be using Pokemon cards. They could be using postage stamps or tulip bulbs, right? They could use whatever is being asked for in exchange as payment for this land. And again, just be aware, all of the appropriate documentary stamps and sales tax to the county, all of that will be paid. So we are not talking about anything in any end of it that's circumventing the law or being illegal. Just a simple transaction where instead of using fiat currency, a meme token would be sent to a specific wallet in exchange for the purchase. Now, I understand this is not the first. There's been many sales of real estate using crypto. However, most of them are using a relatively stable coin, which basically is just a representation of dollars. They're using Bitcoin, Ethereum, USDT, Tether, US dollar coin. So basically, it's just a way of exchanging. This is a little different, and then it's using an extremely volatile small meme token. This meme token also happens to have a 2% tax, which makes it deflationary. So the idea of this piece of land being purchased, this is a pretty good amount of purchase for this project for somebody to buy 4 million tokens to buy a piece of vacant land, right? It's a pretty large purchase. But when they purchase that token, if they go in and buy all of the 4 million at one time, obviously that will increase the value of the token. So we're looking at a couple of things here. If somebody went in and just simply purchased up 4 million tokens, bought the piece of land, they now own it. But what I'm offering is also, in order to make this doable, and this is something that's not a one-off thing, the goal is to do this replicatably again and again and again, is to offer it with a form of seller financing. However, it's not seller financing as in holding a note, myself holding a note. What's actually called a land contract or a contract for deed. Similar to a car payment where you get the title at the end when you've made your final payment. In this case, the person purchasing the land would be making payment in SWP tokens over a period of time. And when they make the final payment, in this case, I've set the price of 4 million tokens, that when they've made that last payment, they've made 4 million tokens, no prepayment penalty, can be paid early at any time. When you make that final payment, that's when the deed is written in your name and recorded in the county. You now 100% own the vacant land. If you miss a certain period and simply don't make the payments, it essentially turns that previous payment into rent. And so this is the way the contract for deed typically works. You basically forfeit any payments made if so in lieu of a foreclosure, whereas if the deed changes hands and you have seller financing where the seller becomes basically the bank holding the mortgage, then they would have to foreclose to take possession of the property back. Not so with contract for deed. Now, I know this the laws about this vary from state to state. Where I live, it is perfectly legal to do a land contract or a contract for deed. So I can hold this type of arrangement. It's a contract with somebody who wants to buy a property. The only unusual part of it is that the rent to own, in some cases, the expression rent to own is used. Somebody's paying for it. And when they make the final payment, then they get the official transfer of title with the deed. The interesting thing is that somebody can go in and purchase the token. Now, the buyer of that token, the token value could go down, and they might actually get the property even cheaper in fiat currency over time. And the value of that property, of the token, could go up drastically, which could make it a very expensive lot. So that's the part that's an unknown. Well, the same thing applies for the person selling the lot. If the token value at the end of the day just went down drastically, they sold a lot of vacant land parcel for a fraction of what maybe it's currently worth on the average open market, right? So again, this is two investors that would be working together to make a decision on a deal. At the end of the day, the buyer of the vacant land owns the vacant land free and clear, no encumbrances, and everything is, on the up and up. The only question mark would be what happens to that token value. Of course, it's volatile. Now, just be aware that the type of swings you see in a token like this are drastic. So it's a little bit of an unknown, a little bit of a gamble on both parts. But however, remember SWP token, it is deflationary. There's a tax, there's also a burn. And just imagine another one. If we were to line up 10 parcels and offer them all at a good deal to be purchased, but insisting that this land sale program always go through a token. And just be aware that once we get this systematized, this could be done, this same structure could be done with other meme tokens. So obviously, if you have another token and you're a CEO of a different token, you might say, hey, that sounds like an amazing idea, but I don't understand the legalities of how could I acquire a piece of land, a piece of property, and then sell it as just for tokens and do everything legal. Again, this is absolutely important that we want to be able to get the news media to talk about this. We want to be able to do press releases to talk about this. And so it's extremely important that there is nothing involved in this that could ever be called into reproach, as in like, oh, that little piece of this scenario is not legal. We want to make sure that everything that we're talking about here is 100% legal. It's just a little different. It's a little creative because it is providing a utility to crypto in order to exchange value, right? Exchanging value and exchanging something of value, in this case, is vacant land for meme token. Also keep in mind that when this happens, that those who own the token now may see massive buys because people are going to be buying real estate using a meme token, in my particular case, SWP. Eventually, once their system is a little bit tweaked, we could see larger parcels that are more than the $6,000 to $10,000 value. They could be the $20,000 and the more desirable home sites, $10,000, $20,000, $70,000. And eventually, if we figure out a system that works, we might be able to actually sell a house, even be it a rent-to-own process contract using SWP tokens. Now, if you're hearing what I'm saying and you're thinking, I shouldn't have sold my SWP or I should maybe buy some SWP, that's up to you. I'm not giving you financial advice, but yeah, definitely I think that with this type of activity, with a small meme token and with the media coverage and the press releases that I intend to bring to this unusual process of using crypto in this manner, I think there could be some amazing results to the activity, and that, of course, can definitely affect the market cap. So if you have any questions or comments, be sure to share them below. I would love to hear what your comments are. I'll talk to you soon.